7CL Levittown.
This is On the Ice, a weekly recap of your 2023 Philadelphia Flyers from blue line to blue line. Broadcasting live from Chickies and Pete's, tonight's show is brought to you by Independence Blue Cross, Payroll Service Solutions, Pat Dion Beverages, Hand and Stone Spa, The Capitol Grill, and Eddie V's Prime Seafood. We now go live to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Now, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Riley Cote.
All righty, everybody. Cote.
He did this last time.
Matty has trouble with that one. I don't understand, but it's just Cote, no I.
That's right.
That's all right.
Soft I, I guess, right?
Whatever it is, we're here at Chickies and Pete's in beautiful Audubon, Pennsylvania for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Flyers between games. By the way, game note for all of our listeners, and I'm sure you know the Phillies have canceled tomorrow's opening day because of the rain. Flyers will be playing in Montreal, rain or not, and they'll be in a very important game. It's all they will be. Excuse me. Everything going wrong for us a couple minutes. Here to discuss it with us is Riley Cote, our co-host. Welcome to have you, Riley.
Yeah, happy to be back.
Looking forward to it. And we have a guest of ours from Crossing Broad. He does a Snow Goalie podcast with Bundy and others before, after, and during every game. Mr. Anthony SanFilippo, a guy we used to work with 20-some years ago at WIP. How are you?
It's been that long, Paul. Yeah, I think we came into WIP about 3 months apart.
Yep.
You were there before me by a couple months, but
with
yeah.
Kevin Nagandi, who's not anchoring the Sports Center.
Anchoring Sports Center. It's been a while.
Been a while.
Showing our age.
Showing our age, and then Riley's retired and ready to rock. And guys, Flyers are very interesting. Just got through a 7-game stretch against playoff teams, killers to speak of. Got 6 points, hanging on in the wild card race over Detroit, hanging on in the division race over the Caps. So the Caps have games in hand. Riley, right now, optimistic or pessimistic playoff-wise?
Oh, I'm optimistic, for sure. Yeah, I'm feeling the energy.
Got a pretty soft schedule the rest of the way, huh?
Well, I don't know about that. We talk about this, like on paper it looks soft, but the perspective of the opponents is a little different than what it looks like. So they're trying to play spoiler, a lot of these teams, and it's going to be a dogfight.
Anthony, we see it all the time. The last week of the football season, Gorilla plays, puppy dog. Puppy dog wakes up, smacks him. How obviously, the Flyers have to be alert, and they're resilient. We all know that. How alert do they have to be the last few games to make sure they don't sleep on the wrong side of the bed one night?
You got to do it every game, Paul. I mean, I'll tell you, you're going to play Montreal tomorrow night. They were in Colorado last night and beat the Avalanche. The Canadians beat Colorado in Colorado yesterday. It can happen to the best teams in hockey. The Flyers are, let's be honest, they're a 500 team. I know the loser point makes the points look like it's more than 500, but they've lost one more game than they've won, right?
In regulation.
No, overall. They've played 71 games, they have 35 wins. That means they've lost 36 times.
Right, but kind of the regulation part.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
So, but what I'm trying to say is that even the best teams face that kind of adversity. If you're a team that's in the middle of the pack, you can't take your foot off the pedal for even 1 second.
Riley, what's it like? I mean, you're playing bad teams. They got NHL players just like any other team. They fire pucks, they can go in the net. How motivated do you have to be against a bad team to make sure you're not the victim that night?
Well, I think now more than ever down the stretch it's more important than ever, right? I mean, you can't go into these games thinking it's going to be an easy game. You got to go in there like you're playing, the Rangers or pick your top team, and that's the mentality you got to have. It's not going to be easy. There's no free points, and they're going to have to bring the energy they've been consistently bringing and the attitude they've been consistently bringing, and I think they'll be fine.
By the way, guys, I was on vacation last week in Vegas. I went to a Vegas-Tampa game. It's incredible to me how the game night presentation around different sports follows the city and its patterns. All glitchy, all ridiculous. The jousting nights in Vegas. Here, they laughed that out of the building, but it works there. As you travel around the NHL, Anthony, what are some of the stranger things you've seen to get people ready for an NHL hockey game?
The stranger things I've seen?
Yeah.
Man, I don't know. Vegas is certainly one of the more unique ones, that's for sure. I think you find more strange things in minor league cities. Riley could probably tell you a little bit about those more so than the NHL cities. I think the NHL cities are pretty cut and dry. I mean, the Lightning, they have a lightning bolt. They have like the electricity shooting through, connecting on the the current is, you could see it like in the stadium. Like, that's kind of unique, I guess.
Ever see anybody get electrocuted?
No, but they did move it. So, like, from where it used to be, they moved it up higher in the rafters. I was wondering if it came close.
Liability issue?
Yeah, maybe. Maybe. Who knows?
Good idea. Now, you guys, you media superstars in your own right. Riley does a podcast called Nasty Knuckles.
Yeah.
Fought a couple times in your NHL career. You had a Broad Street bully this week, huh?
We did, yeah. We had Don Selesky actually today, and great conversation around his time with the Flyers, his journey getting to the Flyers and post-career, and just trying to have some fun with it.
What's the Big Bird doing now?
Big Bird's he's a businessman, He's an executive at a healthcare solutions company. And
his wife's big time, right?
Yeah, I think she's more big time than he is.
Yeah.
And you know about his grandson, right? He played on that media Little League team that went to the Little League World Series last year.
Yeah, we talked about that. It's great.
Pretty cool,
amazing
right?
story.
Yeah.
That's got to be great. Sports runs through the veins. You got your podcast, Snow the Goalie, with Bundy and other folks. Tell us about that.
Well, we're up on the balcony level of the Wells Fargo Center for every home game. A lot of people stopping by all the time, and we just had Danny Briere on the other day talking about the idea to bench Coots towards his decision to do that. We had Jonesy on. Dan Hilferty usually stops by, so we get a lot of folks. We had Brad Shaw on, the assistant coach.
Terry Bradshaw?
No, just Brad Shaw. Just Brad Shaw, who, by the way, could pass for like Keith Jones's brother.
Yeah, he looks
they
a lot like
do look
him.
alike,
They
right?
do, yeah. Now that you say that, yeah.
There were people at the carnival. We were broadcasting from the concourse at the carnival, and there were people who were snapping all these pictures of him. And I'm sitting there saying to my partner Russ, we're looking at it going, I guarantee you that 8 out of all those 10 people think it's Keith Jones that they're snapping a picture of.
Yeah, I have no idea who
they have no idea who he
yeah.
is.
It's good for the gram, though,
We'll talk about this Coots scratching with Anthony a lot more and yourself, but just your gut feeling. Captain, 34 days later, gets scratched, seems confused about it, seemed upset in the interviews, to be honest with you, and not a guy who gets upset a lot. To me, it's not really important whether John Tortorella communicates to the fans the exact reason, but obviously it is to the team and the player. How did you see that whole situation, and how do you see it now?
Yeah, I think it's one of those situations where Torts treats everyone the same way, and it's all about production. And he felt that Coots wasn't playing up to the expectations of the team, and he's no different than anybody else, right? And Coots has had a tough last year, and he was obviously in a drought. So I don't have a problem with it, right? I mean, Torts is pretty black and white, and there's an expectation there. And yes, I would be pissed off too if I was Coots, as you should be as a pro and the captain of a club. And you just hope that he takes it the right way and he bounces back. As I thought he did a pretty good job and moves forward.
Anthony, before we talk about your relationship with Torts, which is its own animal, if Torts had coached instead of Glenn Sather, the Edmonton Oilers in the 80s, do you think he would ever scratch 99?
Who knows with Torts? He would scratch.
Yeah,
I mean,
right.
he might go anywhere. But look, I agree with Riley. I don't think that there's a problem with actually doing it.
Neither do I.
I don't necessarily know if I agreed with it, but I don't have a problem if he thinks that that's the guy that needs to come out of the lineup, and that's what's going to help the team win. That's fine.
Certainly sends a message to the rest of the team.
Right.
Sir, absolutely does. My only issue with it was, Danny came on our show and he told us why it was happening. And he said, Kush just needed a little bit of a reset. He was banged up. He'd been playing with 5 injuries and things like that. Why not just come out and say that?
Right.
Like, if you come out and say that and
I
be
agree.
transparent about it, it maybe doesn't have the national fervor that it is for 3 days about it.
I agree. I agree 100%. We talked about this today. That exact thing. If you're transparent, it just keeps the flies away.
Yeah.
And people start speculating when you start keeping stuff like that
Correct.
tight to your chest. But no, I mean, it's his decision. I
Right.
mean, and it was obviously justified. If you probably broke down every clip and showed Coots, I mean, it'd be like, okay, have a rest, and we'll pick back up.
Guys, the dynamics of a hockey team are different everywhere. A lot of people, including a lot of people I know, and I think myself, think that there was more than John Tortorella that named Coots the captain, that might have come from above. Anything with you guys from that?
No, as a matter of fact, everybody I've talked to has said it was a Torts decision. And I think it was a Torts decision in the moment because that's when he recognized this team's ready to make the push for the playoffs.
Right.
And they need a leadership, identified leadership.
Yep.
Captain, 2 alternates.
How important is that C on a hockey team, Riley? It's a symbol, but how much of a symbol that has weight is it?
Well, I certainly think it's important. I also do respect Torts' ability to stay patient and not jump into it, and obviously the timing of realizing they're going to make a serious, legit push, and maybe seeing Coots, kind of come back to and find his game again. Between the two things, I think it's important down the stretch to have some sort of leadership. Going into playoffs without a captain, I don't know. I mean, because this year has obviously gone way beyond expectations, right?
Yep.
I mean, at the start of the year, it'd be like, I'm not naming a captain, but then, well, things change when your team starts to, make a legit push. So here we are.
All right, we're going to hear a name in the next couple months named Jack Adams, the NHL Coach of the Year award that Rick Tocchet, Torts could be up for. We'll talk about a few players coming from Russia. A lot of fascinating stuff this show as we talk about the Flyers in the home stretch. But Anthony, you and I have been friends for a long time. You have a unique relationship with Mr. Tortorella. Care to expand however you like?
I wouldn't even call it a relationship at this point. I mean, the guy just doesn't want to talk to me, and that's fine.
Is that off the record? If you walk up to him in the hall and say, what time is it, he's not going to say
He's not going to talk. He's not gonna, as long as he says I want to answer your questions. So maybe if I just make a declarative statement, he'll say something.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Change the game, flip the script.
Yeah, flip the script on him a little bit. But no, look, Torts is a guy who thrives off of his edge, right? And if he feels like he needs to make enemies with the media to be part of his edge.
He scratched Couturier for a reason. He talks to me. He'll talk to Riley. Why not you?
Because he was – so at the time when that whole thing happened with the Cutter-Gauthier trade and then, my report that I gave out on the podcast that Kevin Hayes had talked to him and told him it wasn't great to play for Torts, et cetera, that message is – look, when you have Danny and Jonesy and Hilferty coming out and saying, all the good things from the Flyers' perspective, that's a message for the fans. Torts' message is for the players. And so when he comes at me and says it's awful and Kevin Hayes is a great guy and all those wonderful things, that's a message not only for the players in his locker room, but for future players who may think about coming to Philadelphia maybe as a free agent. Right? And you're saying to them, don't listen to the noise. This is a great place to come play. Come play for me. I think that's why he's doing it.
How do you when you had coaches, Riley, that talked and didn't talk, Ken Hitchcock and others. Did you play for the Hitch?
I did, yeah. Briefly, yep.
How did you handle coaches in your own mind and their relationship with the media? Did you stay completely away from that, just played and kept your head down? How did that work out with you?
Yeah, I mean, as far as coaches and the relationship with the media, I really wasn't paying too much attention, honestly.
But did you take a lead at all from how they dealt with it as to how you would deal with the media and follow the coach at all in any way?
Yeah, I mean, I think Torts is unique. Where I think that was a good way to describe it. He plays on the edge that he gets. I think Torts is different than a lot of coaches I've had. You got like John Stevens is just like pretty black and white.
Yep.
And Lavi, and there's a couple other guys I can think of, but Hitch too. But I don't remember them really being that dramatic with the media. I mean, maybe Hitch every now and then, but they were pretty straightforward. So I think Torts' history with the media, certainly follows him, and here we are again.
Hitch used us in a different way.
Yeah, right. He'd probably call you up and say, I want to talk, right?
Hitch would say, Anth, come and sit into my office.
Exactly.
Let me show you who's not playing well so you can write about
He
it.
loved it, right? Yeah.
Different ways to psychologically analyze the team and get that message out. We'll talk afterwards, after the break. We'll talk about Alexei Kolosov. Who? You'll know who Alexei Kolosov is. He could be an important player in the Flyers' playoff dynamics. But right now, I want to tell you about here at Chickies and Pete's. Every time you get a Yards Game Day Standard for $5, $1 portion of the proceeds be donated to the Chris Long Foundation's Ed Zone initiative in Philadelphia. The Chris Long Foundation comes together to fight a battle no one should face: the lack of basic human rights like clean water, clothing, hygiene products, and education to millions. Whether it's a neighbor down the street or across the world, we're committed to impacting as many lives as possible. Visit chrislongfoundation.org. Again, every $5 Yards Game Day Standard, $1 goes to Chris Long Foundation. This is the Independence Blue Cross on the ice from Chickies and Pete's in Audubon, PA. We got Riley Cote and Anthony SanFilippo. We're back right after this. Stay with us.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Relax and enjoy a cocktail from our seasonal cocktail menu. Try one of our delicious, perfectly blended options like strawberry lemonade. How about a raspberry sangria, blend of Pinot Grigio, raspberry liqueur, and bubbly lemon lime soda? Or maybe a Hendrick's Gimlet or a Patron Tropical Mojito is more your style. Enjoy one of these or many others from our Chickie and Pete's sensational seasonal cocktail selection. Only at Chickies and Pete's.
Millions of Americans are losing their medical assistance or Medicaid coverage. If this affects you, Independence Blue Cross can help. You may be eligible to enroll in a health plan for as little as $0 a month. With Independence Blue Cross, you get the largest provider network in the area, including most Keystone First doctors and hospitals. We also offer free 24/7 telemedicine, coverage for hospital stays and prescriptions. See if you qualify for $0 health insurance and enroll today. Call Independence Blue Cross at 1-844-464-2583 or visit ibx.com/staycovered.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is the true retreat from the everyday, with locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City. Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and former Flyer Riley Cote.
It's almost a Saturday Night Live thing by this point, guys. Cote, C-O-T-E, K-O-T-A-Y. Any other way to spell it, Ross?
I don't think so. I thought I was getting punked there again.
No, just Cote. Riley Cote is with us. Anthony SanFilippo. Paul Jolovitz.
Nice.
You're listening to On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross, live from Chickies and Pete's right here on 1490 WBCB. It's time now for the Independence Blue Cross Live Fearless Player of the Week. This week it's Tyson Forster. Had a couple big goals, one of the top rookies in the NHL. Remember to choose Independence Blue Cross today and begin to live fearless. Anthony, his goal last night was huge. Tied the Ranger game. He's not going to be Rookie of the Year. Connor Bedard, I think, is, but a hell of a year for Forster.
Okay, he could be a finalist for Calder. I mean, I think it's a possibility.
Not going to win.
No. It's going to be Connor Bedard's trophy.
Yep.
Mm-hmm. But that goal was the most important goal in the game yesterday. Keep in mind, there's three reasons for it in my mind. One, you've already in the third period blown a lead come from behind, and come from behind again. And now you have to do it again at the end of the period, right? So that makes it hard enough. But it's the thing that you always hear coaches talk about, players having to go to that greasy area of the ice, go to the dirty area. Like, that puck's loose in there, and he just comes in. He's like, I'm going to go to the net. I might get banged around. Who knows what's going to happen, but I got to get to that puck and put it in. To have the smarts as a young player to do that when so many young players are like, a little hesitant, right?
Yeah,
right, Riles?
totally.
I think that speaks volumes for Tyson Forster and the kind of player that he is.
He's got a hell of a shot, Riley, huh?
He does, man. I feel like every game he plays, he looks more confident. The way he's taking pucks to the net, the way he skates with it. I mean, I love his game and how far he's come in such a short amount of time.
All right, Riley, you were the last correct questioner here on Jeopardy. Your category is overtime lineups for 1,000. Why does John Tortorella start the overtime lineups he starts? The Flyers are a bad overtime team. It seems like they don't have enough offense on the ice. They play a great 60 minutes. And then, obviously Sam Ersson has been through what he is, but what's with overtime? What's going on?
I don't know. It could be one of those torch social experiments. You know, if they score somehow, he looks like a genius.
Yeah.
I'm not exactly sure, honestly. To me, it's like you got to go with your horses. But who knows? He knows these guys better than I do. So
no connecting in overtime, Anthony.
Well, that's the thing. I think Lavi sees it. Remember, you're in New York, right? So the Flyers get to make the first line. They got to put the line out first, and then the Rangers get to put their guys. I think Lavi sees that, and it's like, oh man, just win a face-off.
Win the face-off,
right? Yeah, just win the face-off. You get possession, and it's a possession. It's like lacrosse, right? You get possession of that thing, and then just hold on to it, right? I agree. I think it was weird. I also think it was weird that you went with Paling when he was a little banged up. I mean, you could see
he got hit by a shot in the last minute of regulation.
He was favoring his arm.
Yeah.
And it was weird that he was, he's one hand on the stick, and I didn't get it. I didn't understand it. And I don't say it costs them the point because they needed to play better in the first 60 minutes, right? It doesn't cost you the point, but it's certainly an odd choice.
It is an odd. Sometimes Tortorella seems like he wants his out pitch to be the curveball and to confuse everybody. He's done an unbelievable job this year, obviously. Yeah. But the overtime thing just has me.
Well, he pushes so many of the right buttons for this team that it's hard to really question some things. And so sometimes are we being too, magnifying glass look at what John Tortorella is doing? Because this team wasn't supposed to be where they are, right? And here they are, and it's mostly because of the coaching job that he's done. So sometimes when you have these things happen, are they frustrating in the moment? Yeah, but at the same time, you got to understand that there's probably a reason for it.
He also did something he hadn't done this year that I know of, and I like Torts. I think he's a very stand-up guy. He apologized.
Yep.
Sandstrom, the backup goalie, obviously Kyle Peterson experiment failed the short term. Sandstrom came in, didn't play that well last Saturday. Talk to us about the apology and what Tortorella said.
Yeah, I mean, it was pregame. Yes, I wasn't up in New York, so but
I'm sorry.
No, it's all right. But I watched it on video just like you did and everybody else did, right?
Yep.
I mean, he basically, I think that he wanted the answer to the question when he just shrugged his shoulders and banged his hands on the dais was. What do you want me to do? That was kind of like, what do you want me to say?
Right.
I don't want to say anything bad about the guy, but come on, we all saw what happened.
Exactly.
And I think that's what he was trying to convey, and maybe he didn't convey it well. And because he didn't convey it well, he felt the need to come out the next day and say, you know what, it was a totally legitimate question. I didn't say it the right way. It didn't come across the right way. I'm sorry for making Felix look bad by doing that. I'm not trying to throw the guy under the bus at all. He's trying his rear end off.
Yep. Riley, how do you avoid, obviously you have teammates play poorly, you have teammates play great every game, and you're going to be asked about that in some way. When a teammate, I don't know how else to say this, deserves to be thrown under the bus, although he never does, how do you support that guy and make sure he takes him with you when you do that?
Yeah, obviously in a situation like that, as I mentioned, the whole building knew it was an off night, right? So I think you can gently address that and support him at the same time, because we all have bad nights and bad days at the office, right? And you'd only be human to own that. So
Riley Cote.
Right. I think there's a gentle way to address it and support it at the same time. But yeah, certainly not going to be throwing mud at the guy and making it seem like it's all on him. But off night, you just got to own it and move on, right?
Well, with that, we get to our next topic, and that's Minsk, Russia, Belarus, which is one of the 15 republics, which you don't need to worry about right now. The KHL, Alexei Kolosov draft pick a couple years back, A goaltender has left his contract there, coming here. One of the best goalies in Russia and a very good KHL, Anthony. The Flyers have an obvious need of backup goaltender. Sam Ersson looks like he's entrenched as a starter now with the whole Carter Hart situation. Is Kolosov coming to play at Lehigh? Is he coming to play for the Flyers? Help us unlock this puzzle.
How about if I say both?
Okay, fair enough.
And so I think what's going to end up happening here is when he arrives, and I think it could be as soon as this weekend, he's going to probably play 1 or 2 games for the Phantoms. And then I think that their hope is that, see how he looks. If it looks like he's okay and he can come up and play in the NHL, maybe by the following weekend. Next weekend they have a back-to-back, Buffalo and Columbus. I wouldn't be surprised if he's playing in the Columbus game on the Saturday. And I know that there's concerns. Oh, well, he played in the KHL and they got the big rinks over there. Not so much anymore. 13 of the 23 rinks, I think it's 23 teams in the KHL, are now retrofitted to be NHL-sized rinks.
Oh, wow,
so he's used to playing on those rinks. So it's just
How
more.
the hell did you know that?
It's a little research.
Yeah, right.
I find
Dig
out
in there, Paul.
13 of the 23.
Yeah, I think it is.
My saying is failing to prepare is preparing to fail, but I wasn't prepared for that one.
Yeah,
Very good.
so the only question that a lot of people have asked is, well, haven't the Flyers already used their 4 allotted call-ups post-trade deadline? And they have, but because of the Carter Hart situation, when they first called up Cal Peterson, he was an emergency call-up. And so as long as the person in that emergency call-up spot is being replaced by someone at the same position, you can keep replacing people there. So Sandstrom replaces Peterson, and so he's in there as an emergency call-up. If they want to bring up Kolosov to replace Sandstrom, they can. So it could still happen.
How important, Riley? 9 games to go. Flyers have a couple back-to-backs. Tortorella doesn't like to play Sam or anybody back-to-back. How important is the backup goaltender in the Flyers' playoff dreams?
I mean, I think huge, obviously, especially in the situation they're in. I mean, you need that solid backup, and whoever that lands up being. So whoever's in on those back-to-back games has to bring their A game. Otherwise, that might be their last. I mean, I don't know. They're going down the stretch here.
Yeah, there's 9 games left, Paul. I would say that the backup goalie has to play at least 2, maybe 3.
And you have a points equation that you've settled in your mind. Flyers need how many points to be safe?
I think if they get 9, they'll be okay.
Wild card or 13?
Yeah, that's a good question, but probably the wild card. It depends. I mean, Washington's got a tough schedule, too.
They do.
They have a tough schedule, too. So, I mean,
Final games against Washington at home also.
That last game of the season could be like 2010
right,
all over
no
again,
doubt,
Riley, right? I mean, it could be just like that, win and get
Exactly.
in kind of situation. So, be interesting.
It is, and there's an off in Kolosov that the Flyer fans could know about this year. They won't know about the other off for a couple years maybe, but it's going to probably be a much bigger impact than Kolosov, and that's Matvei Michkov, who's not tearing up the KHL, but for an 18-year-old, doing great there this year. When he finally comes over and the Flyers have some more assets and make some more picks, we're looking ahead, Riley, but the Michkov era, what do you see happening when Michkov comes here?
Well, I'd like to think that the Flyers are in full stride to where they want to go, and he's just complementing the ship, and his skill level's through the roof, as everyone knows. And
is he a top 10 NHL player in your opinion? Top
Matt,
15?
you would know better.
Yeah, I would say not right away.
Yeah.
I mean,
No,
I
not
don't
right
think
away.
you're going to come in as a rookie and be a top 10 player, but does he have that ceiling?
Yeah.
Yes, he has that ceiling for sure.
A lot of people compare him to Nate McKinnon and other people. I mean, that's the
Nate McKinnon, that's
if,
interesting.
If you get Nate McKinnon out of that,
yeah.
Nate McKinnon's
little different game, but
like if you ask me right now, if I was drafting a team in the NHL, I would take Nate McKinnon over Connor McDavid.
Wow,
Really?
yeah.
Because of the way he plays on both ends of the ice.
Right, yeah.
I think there's more to his game. McDavid's a better offensive player, it's not a question.
Yeah.
Right?
But like
an all-around player.
Right.
And the
Power
type of
forward.
And the type of leader that he
Yeah.
is, too.
By the
I
way,
take
what
McDavid.
the heck is McDavid doing? He's got 21 goals this year. It's almost like he's saying, I don't want to score goals. I want to get 1 million assists like Wayne Gretzky. Is that on purpose? Is he playing a mind game with the whole league? What's up?
yeah.
20 goals. You can score 20 goals backwards in his sleep, right?
But you got to remember, they got off to an awful start
Yeah.
in Edmonton. They had fired their coach, and then they went on that great run where they
time.
almost set the record for most wins in a row.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know. I just think it's a weird year. Kucherov's the guy that's having the monster year.
Yeah.
Did he have 15 points in 4 games
Yep.
last week?
Incredible.
Mitch
It's incredible.
Unbelievable.
Mitch Koss compared to him a whole lot also. You hear
Well,
Kuch-
that could be. I mean,
That's a more
I think that's more
realistic
likely, yeah, more
comparison.
realistic,
Yeah, smaller statured, high skill,
Yes.
just ultra creative guy.
yeah.
Tampa Bay is a team that, I saw them last week. They still have the players. I'm not sure the players in their prime, When the Flyers are obviously a very young team building, when you're a team like Tampa Bay, when you've been there, you've won a couple cups, you still have the nucleus, but it may not have quite the atomic weight that it once did. How do you deal with something like that?
What, like getting to that point?
Does Tampa still have a shot to win the cup?
Yes, they have a shot. I don't think that they'll get there. I think the Rangers in Florida are better than them, and probably Carolina too. Boston, I'm not in on Boston this year. I'm just not.
I wasn't in on them last year.
Yeah, there's something it doesn't work for me with them. But I think that if Tampa's probably the fourth best team in the East.
Rod, if I had said to you when you were playing back in the early 2000s that the NHL would center around Florida and Carolina, what would you have told me?
I would have told you you're absolutely full of it.
Florida and Carolina. Dallas is doing well this year.
Yeah, I know. It's incredible.
Sunbelt has half hockey spread, huh?
Well, I think it's an attractive place to go, right? If you're a free agent, I mean, I'd certainly probably be seeking somewhere down there than, I don't know, as much as I love Canadian hockey, I mean, especially if you're an older guy, you might want to go set up shop down there. All
right, we'll set up shop here. Talk much more about the Flyers who have lost 8 straight to the Metro. What does that mean? It's what they call a coincidence in life, but they got to get a gear up against the Metro at Montreal tomorrow night. We'll talk Flyers hockey with Anthony SanFilippo, Riley Cote. There we are. This is the Independence Blue Cross on the ice from Chickies and Pizza and Audubon. Come up and say hi to Riley and Anthony. We're back right after this.
Hi, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Wrap up your workday with the all-new Chickies and Pete's Happy Hour with unbeatable specials weekdays from 4 to 6 p.m. Enjoy half-price orders of Chickies medium tender wings, one of our tasty and delicious pizzas, or an order of mouth-watering hot, cold, or fried shrimp. Plus $3 domestic bottled beers, $5 Tito's, and $6 seltzers. It's the all-new Happy Hour weekdays 4 to 6 p.m. only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we take care of the people who take care of you. Everyday heroes like firefighters, teachers, farmers, and healthcare workers. Doctors and hospitals across the region have IBX, and they know what it means to have reliable access to care. So whether you're saving lives or just trying to live a healthier life, count on IBX, the region's #1 health insurer for 85 years. Learn more at IBX.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is the true retreat from the everyday, with locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City. Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Hat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz
and Riley Cote.
Nicely done. Nicely
there we
done.
are. Very nicely done. It's now time for the Smart Stat of the Week, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY. That's 1-866-PAY-EASY. Not complicated today. Today's Smart Stat says in the playoff battle, the most important game is the next one, which is tomorrow in Montreal. Go Flyers. That was your Flyers Smart Stat of the Week. Once again, brought to you by Payroll Service Solutions. Call them today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for the smart choice in payroll services. Payroll Service Solutions, catering to the small and medium-sized business to handle all of your payroll needs. Call them once again at 1-866-PAY-EASY. Riley, the Flyers have 3 defensemen laid up right now: Rasmus Ristolainen, Jamie Drysdale, and Nick Seeler. Nick Seeler was on the show a couple weeks ago. Very important blocking shots to the grit and resilience of this team. They got a Tard up. They got Jennings. How much of the injury is going to matter down the stretch?
Well, I think injuries always impact production long term. So, I'd like to see these guys get back sooner than later and, get back to their original lineup. But, young guys stepping in and filling some voids, and they do well. I mean, that's all you can ask for these guys to patch these holes while these guys are banged up. But, obviously staying durable and staying healthy is extremely important this time of the year going into the playoffs. And, the sooner they can get healthy, to me, the better chance they have.
And
obviously.
Sean Walker obviously getting dealt, Sealer's partner, Anthony. How did that – I mean, the deadline, Danny had to think, playoffs versus future.
Yeah.
The whole 9 yards with that tightrope he's walking. How did that work out in your opinion?
I'll answer that question in 1 second, but I got to give Matt Miro something to get back at you for.
Okay.
You just pronounced Ronnie Attard's last name.
Oh,
as
Tard.
a Tard.
Okay, yeah, I did.
Okay, so it's Ronnie Attard.
All right. We'll give you one there, Matty. We'll give you one there.
But to answer your question, I think that it was the right thing to do because you got to take the first round draft pick in return for a player like Sean Walker, who you're going to lose at the end of the season anyway because of the contract he was looking for. Does it impact your team now? It certainly does. Of course, they weren't expecting Nick Seeler to be out for a month with a foot injury.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't expecting Drysdale to be out for maybe the rest of the season and Ristolainen to be out for the rest of the season. So all these things kind of snowballed a little bit. So of course they had to call on the young defenseman. But you know what? Give Attard and Jennings credit.
Mm-hmm.
They've played
very
decently,
well,
right? I mean, they've played solid as a second pair, and then you go and they get, Eric Johnson. I know he had a bad play in the game yesterday.
One bad play, yeah.
But I think that in the other games he's played, he's been okay. Not great. He's not what the player he was,
right?
When he was drafted first overall. But at the same time, he's been a veteran presence on that blue line that they sorely need. And so they've made up a little bit of the production that they lost with Sean Walker.
Riley, we always hear the cliche next man up. Every team says it. Every team talks about it. Not every team does it. This team's doing it. They've done it on the offensive end. They've done it on the defensive end. When Travis Konechny was out, a couple guys stepped up. Owen Tippett jacked up his game. Obviously, Tyson Forster, a lot of young offensive talent. How important is that when somebody does get hurt, not every time, but most times, there's somebody waiting in the wings, especially with the goaltender situation?
Yeah, I mean, to me, that's what defines great teams, right? When you have your minor league guys stepping into these positions and filling a void. So, yeah, it's super important. I mean, this is exactly what you hope for, and this is what you're grooming these guys down in the minor leagues to be ready for. And these are your opportunities, so take advantage of it.
It's also possible for a veteran to step up.
Sure.
And I think that
Eric Johnson?
Yeah, but I think that there's a guy that not a lot of people are giving a lot of credit lately, but I think has been sensational.
Scotty Lawton?
Yes.
Yeah, oh yeah. He's elevated his game big time.
I think Lawton, since the trade deadline, since he knew he wasn't getting traded,
the monkey off the back, right? Yeah.
has been superb for the Flyers.
I agree.
So good.
Next
Not
level.
just on the ice, off the ice.
Well, he's always great off the ice. But, I mean, on the ice, his game has taken a big step forward. And by doing that, he's now become like a second-line guy that has allowed them to put Frost with Konechny and Tippett to make your 3 best offensive players, your best playmaker and your 2 best goal scorers, all playing together, and that's a dangerous line.
What about Frost and his dealings with Tortorella this year? It's been up and down. How would you deal with that if you were him, Anthony?
Well, I wouldn't ask him any questions. That's for sure.
Right?
No, but look, Morgan Frost his game has developed nicely. There's still some concerns about how he plays in his own end.
Yep.
Right, and I'm not certain that that's ever going to really change. If you're an offensive-minded player, you only come back and play defense.
Are you saying he's not Chris Pronger?
So much.
Yeah.
Well, he's certainly not. Certainly not. And he's certainly not a two-way forward, right? But as long as he does enough, and like the play that leads to Tippett's goal last night, where he's back and he gathers a loose puck. That's it's something that simple in his own end, is able to take a couple strides and then flip that saucer pass out of the zone, right? And then Tippett goes on the breakaway. That's all you really need to do in your own end, and you're an effective player.
Yeah.
So I think it's those little things that have elevated his game a little bit more.
Talk about little things. This isn't a little thing, obviously. We've kind of taken it for granted by now because Sam Ersson steps in, plays how he plays. We worry about the backup goaltender. Well, Sam Ersson was a backup goaltender, and with Carter Hart's situation, I think we've kind of overlooked almost at this point how unbelievably valuable. This could have been a disaster movie without Sam Ersson, Riley, couldn't it?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it's, you go into the season expecting to be the backup, and then you can never imagine something like this happening, and all of a sudden overnight you're now the go-to guy. So I think he's handled it pretty damn well, and he's ready. He was ready to rock, and I mean, he's the man now. So embrace it, own it, and
Yeah, Anthony, you're in the locker room every night. I mean, how does this team all of a sudden deal with Carter Hart, and then boom, he's gone like that, and all of a sudden Sam Ersson's the guy?
Yeah, I think for the first few games, if you remember when that happened, there was they didn't play well, and
Right.
I think it was just kind of like
a shock.
Yeah, what do we do now? Kind of thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it did affect them a little bit on the ice, but they kind of regrouped real nicely. That's credit to the leadership in the room,
right?
And good credit to Ersson as well, because here's a guy who was a backup goalie who's now thrust into a starting job for a team that's trying to make the playoffs.
Yeah.
And so, I think a lot goes on him, and he has his moments where he struggles a little bit. I don't think there's a real middle ground with him. He's either really good or he's not good, right?
Yeah.
But I think that when he gets that swagger and he's got a little bit of belief in himself, he's a good enough goalie to be successful in the playoffs. And I think they could be a hard out if he's playing at the top of his game.
All right, Anthony just mentioned the magic word, playoffs. Playoffs. Riley, we were talking about young players and playing in the playoffs and the experience it gives somebody, both on an individual level as a team, the fans of the city who certainly deserve it. You were a young player at one point looking to get to the playoffs. What was that like, and what was it like when you made it?
Well, that's what you play for, right? Is that, and the season's a grind, and when you've
kept the beard, I see.
Yeah, I got the playoff beard going. Yeah, ready to rock here. But no, this is what you play for. This is the most exciting time of the year. So there's an excitement down the stretch. Obviously, whether you're in a playoff spot or right on the outside looking in, it's a grind. And once you get in there, you talk about energy and a different perspective, and it's exactly why you play the game, is to be in those big games and obviously to win championships. But it's a good time of the year.
All right, we're going to talk about hockey the last 15 minutes, but I had to get this in somewhere. My good friend Glenn McNabb from WIP does a lot with you, Anthony. Anthony has a dual career of hockey beat writer, hockey impresario, and play director, which is a very common mixing of skills.
Yes.
Down at the Swarthmore Playhouse, you directed a lot of plays. How'd you get into that, and what kind of plays?
It was my major in college. Theater was my major in college. I thought I was going to be a Broadway actor when I was
not 18. Broad Street, Broadway.
Broadway when I was 18 years old, and it didn't quite work out. But and then I took like a 20-year hiatus. But then once my kids got into it a little bit, and then I said, well, you try and get you involved in a show, and and I ended up doing some stuff there. And
anything you used, any Tortorella psychology you used directing a play that you might have borrowed from hockey?
But I'll tell you what, and Glenn and I talk about this all the time. There is a real crossover for putting on a show as there is to being in a team.
I believe it.
There is a real team element where everybody's got to kind of pull on a rope, and everybody's got an individual job.
Yeah.
And if everybody does it right, you have a successful production. If there's not, if there's something that's disjointed, then it's not a good production, right? So there is some real crossover there.
Can we expect Miracle on Ice at the Swarthmore County Playhouse?
I know. I don't think hockey on stage will really work. I think
Glenn can skate.
Other sports maybe, but not hockey.
There we are. All right, Anthony SanFilippo, playwright, hockey impresario, Riley Cote, former Flyer. They're both here on the ice at Independence Blue Cross. People are very nice to us here at Chickies and Pete's. We can get yards for $5. Yards game day standard. $1 will go to the Chris Long Foundation. Building a tent to get outside eating here at Audubon. All kinds of great stuff, and we are enjoying it all. And we're back with final segment of On the Ice right after this. Stay with us, folks.
Hey, it's Pete from Chickie and Pete's. Dive into our delectable seasonal seafood specials, including our Chickies and Pete's sticky lobster tacos, succulent Brazilian tail meat in a spicy sauce, or try our Chickie and Pete's shrimp po' boy, our signature fried shrimp, lettuce, roasted tomato, and a cherry pepper sauce, served on a fresh baguette. Plus, don't forget our Chickie and Pete's buy one, get one sweet and tasty snow crab legs every Tuesday and Wednesday, only at Chickies and Pete's.
At Independence Blue Cross, we believe in giving you the tools you need to pursue your healthiest life. From premiums as low as $0 per month to health discounts and cash rewards, it pays to have coverage with Independence. With the strongest network of doctors and hospitals in the region and free 24/7 virtual doctor visits, you can feel confident that quality care is always within reach. Learn more about your coverage options at ibx.com.
A truly unique dining experience awaits you at Fogo de Chão. Fogo de Chão awes patrons with their history and tradition of authentic Brazilian steakhouse, offering many cuts of decadent fire-roasted meats prepared over an open fire and served tableside by trained gaucho chefs. Fogo de Chão, 1337 Chestnut Street in Center City, Philadelphia. For reservations, go to www.fogo.com or call 215-636-9700.
Payroll Service Solutions was established in 2001 to cater to the payroll needs of small to medium-sized businesses. Payroll Service Solutions offers unparalleled customer service while they deliver a complete and accurate payroll. When calling Payroll Service Solutions, you will never be put into a voicemail or go through a series of prompts to get to a person. All customer service representatives are extensively trained to handle all of your payroll needs, therefore saving you time. They value each and every one of their clients. No account is too small. Call Payroll Service Solutions today at 1-866-PAY-EASY for a no-obligation review of your payroll needs. That number again is 1-866-PAYEASY. Payroll Service Solutions.
Joseph Anthony Retreat Spa and Salon is the true retreat from the everyday, with locations in Glen Mills, Springfield, and Center City. Joseph Anthony is a premier salon and spa destination that offers unique and luxurious services such as the soft pack float and hydrofacial. The Center City location, located on the 5th floor of the beautiful Lowe's Hotel, is now open and features an exclusive summer menu where you can indulge in the Joseph Anthony experience in the exquisite Turkish bath. Joseph Anthony's little black card is the perfect gift for all your loved ones' relaxation needs. Call or go online to josephanthony.com. That's josephanthony.com.
If you're looking for a stylish and sophisticated fine dining experience, visit your Eddie V's Prime Seafood restaurant near King of Prussia. Eddie V's Seafood features an abundant selection of fine wines and curated cocktails to complement exquisite steaks and seafood made from the highest quality ingredients. In the V Lounge, sip on imaginative handcrafted cocktails with attitude while enjoying signature appetizers. Conveniently located between I-276 and I-76 near the King of Prussia Mall. Call them today, 610-337-7823 to schedule your night out for Eddie V's Prime Seafood.
Head out to Dion Square, located at South Oxford Valley and South Olds Boulevard, to get all your essentials in one place, with the following businesses ready to serve you: Pat Dion Beverages, CVS Pharmacy, Hair Cuttery, Smile Culture Dental, Biomat, Liberty Auto Tags, Pennsylvania Fine Wine and Spirits, Lee's Hoagie House, R&J Smoothies and Juices, AutoZone, and First National Bank and Trust of Newtown. Make Dion Square your one stop for all your shopping needs at South Oxford Valley Road and South Olds Boulevard in Fairless Hills.
We now return to Chickies and Pete's for On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. Once again, here are your hosts, Paul Jolovitz and
And Riley Cote.
Riley Cote, our co-host tonight. You have a second career that also is slightly the curveball variety. Tell everybody what you're doing these days.
So I'm in the alternative health space. I teach mindfulness, and I do some stuff with some sacred plant medicines, cannabis and psilocybin mushrooms, where it's legal. Make sure I mention that. And,
Absolutely.
Well, law-abiding citizens, Paul.
But, I mean, the stuff, a lot of people look at and roll their eyes at the stuff you do, but it works for a lot of people, doesn't it? I mean, Aaron Rodgers tried it earlier this year. I don't know if it worked for him, but it's cutting edge, but it can really do some good for yourself, can it?
Yeah, you say cutting edge. It's old as the earth, right? It's I think we're kind of coming back to nature, and and realizing that maybe some of these pharmaceutical drugs don't work as well as we've been told. So people are seeking alternatives. So it's kind of the original medicine, and we're kind of coming back to it. But I think beyond the medicines themselves, I think a big piece of what I'm trying to teach is to teach people to learn to lean on their own spine. So I think I teach yoga and meditation, so just kind of the empowerment tools outside of the plant medicine as well.
All right, and as they say, and as I'll say right now, if anybody wants to get in touch with you for how to go about any of these services, how do they do that?
Yeah, so I have a website, rileycote.com. And
Not Cotier?
Not Cotier, no.
You know my favorite part about this whole thing is, Riles? When I first met you, which was in the AHL, the Phantoms had brought you in on a 10-day contract, I think.
Yeah, right.
You couldn't have been further from this kind of guy. At that time, you were on you were not chill. You were so amped up all the time.
Oh my God! Yeah, I was on a mission.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You really have calmed down a whole lot.
Well, yeah. I mean, that was I would say right in my prime. Like I was still trying to find a job in the American League, let alone the NHL at that time. So I was carving a name out for myself and being an idiot, really, So
does it bum you out that Deloria didn't play last night? Obviously, fighting is somewhat coming back in. Deloria with the Flyers and Rempe with the Rangers, whatever. But does fighting slow exit and maybe slow come back into the game? Does that bother you at all? Does it touch a nerve?
I don't think so. I mean, I would have thrown him in there. You're going up against this young buck that has been having a reputation of some pretty dirty hits. I mean, so that would be one that I'd probably throw him in there. I'm not sure if fighting is coming back. I think
strategic fighting.
Yeah, he's definitely generating some news, but I still see a place for it. So. A little bit shocked, but I also understand that the situation they're in, and right now it's all about winning games and not playing the side game. So maybe they just want to play in the hands of the Rangers.
Now, there is still a place for it.
Yeah,
sure.
It absolutely is, and it's
like a technical foul in basketball.
Well, yeah, I mean, you don't want it to be gooned up hockey, but at the same time, I think that you need to have somebody to remind the other team that you can't get away with some nonsense.
Can't run our guys.
We'll send somebody out there to go get you, kind of thing. I think that's totally fine.
Yeah.
Gretzky had his bodyguards, sure.
Yeah.
Eric Lindros was his own. Anthony, your Jeopardy question tonight. We're going to select things aren't going well for 1,000. The Flyers power play. As we approach the playoffs, so shorthanded, they've been great. Tied for the lead in goals. Travis tied for the NHL lead in shorthanded goals. Obviously, you need a point man on the power play, but the Flyers haven't found out the equation that you do need. Anything they can do with the guys they have?
Look, they've tried everything. They've tried everything. They've tried different guys on the point. They've switched the guys where they're set up on the half wall and the bumper, like everything. They've tried so many different things, and they're still the worst power play in hockey.
Is it fair to say, because watching other games, obviously like I do, I'm sure all of us do, they're not really a tic-tac-toe passing team, and those kind of teams have great power plays.
So, of course. So, I mean, the best power plays have great skill guys. Right? And
Edmonton, Tampa.
And the Flyers don't really have great skill guys. So they need to score by, just get shots on net. I mean, it sounds so simple, Riles, right? But they got to just get shots to the net and have guys crash the net and look for rebounds. They don't have the ability to make the pretty play. I just don't think that they don't have those players. And but I don't know. I guess you feel like it's dumbing down what you're doing, and maybe that's why you don't do it. You try to do too much. But I think that's the easiest way for them to try and score in the power play.
All right, guys, as we wait for the Flyers, the draft, Danny Briere will get more players in the future to load up to this team's nucleus. You can have either one of these guys. Salaries are irrelevant. Nobody's making any money. Next 5 years, they're both going to be fairly young 5 years from now. I'd rather have Travis Konechny or Owen Tippett.
If I had to pick between the two?
Yep.
Jeez.
Obviously, both different kind of players.
I'll take Tippett only because he's a little bit younger and he's a much faster skater. And I think, Riles, you tell me if I'm wrong on this, a little bit of edge work, and he gets that beat those defensemen to the outside.
Yeah.
He might be a 40-goal scorer in this league.
Yeah, I think he's.
And I think that to me, that's the only reason. I think TK is a great player for what for who he is. But if you're looking at what's going to be here long term, I would rather have an Owen Tippett.
Yeah, I like your perspective. I'll go TK, just only because this guy just always gritty, always buzzing, always competing. And I'm not saying that Owen doesn't, but I just think of the grit that he brings, and that chip
grit
on his shoulder.
Yep.
I don't know, just he just brings it. He's involved.
All right, guys, we have a Stanley Cup coming up, the greatest battle in sports, 2 months, playoff beards. Nobody's really aware how they started. A lot of people say the Islanders for Lord Stanley's Cup. The Flyers can get in, win around, it'll be great. I think it's unrealistic to think of the Flyers hoisting the trophy, but we're already here for 2010. Anthony, who is going to hoist the Cup at the end of middle of June?
It's a great question because I think the West is just insane. There are 7 teams within 4 points of each other for the President's Trophy right now.
Yeah.
That's
Nobody wants to win it.
It's crazy. It's crazy how many how teams are so close together. If my preseason prediction was Dallas Stars, and I'm going to stick with the Dallas Stars just because that's what my prediction was in the beginning of the season. But I think that Western Conference is so wide open. In the East, I think it's a little tighter. In the East, I think it's the Rangers or Florida. And
Not Carolina?
Well, they're close, but I like that. I don't think they're as good an offensive team.
Okay.
I think Florida's got better goal. Well, I should say that. If
Florida's got Anthony Stolar.
If Shesterkin, they got Bobrovsky too.
Yep.
If Shesterkin is on his game, the Rangers are the best team to me in the East. But he's been hit or miss this year a little bit, and so that's why I would lean a little bit towards Florida. Plus, with the experience that they had last year of getting there, that maybe they go back. But I think Dallas is the team that wins it this year.
Riley, we talk about a team that's never even been to the Cup Finals. It has the weight of the world on a guy who's going to be judged in his legacy not by how many points he scores, but by how many cups he wins. In Connor McDavid, how much pressure is there on him and Draisaitl and Edmonton in every series when they've really done nothing thus far?
Yeah, I think there's a ton of pressure. Yeah, Canadian media probably all over them. The expectations there. I like Vancouver. I don't know if they're
Talk?
gonna be, I just like the way they've come along the last year or so, maybe a little longer. But
what did he do? He inherited a team that wasn't very good, and all of a sudden they got very good. What was the one thing the spark, as Springsteen say, you can't start a fire without a spark? What was the spark?
Well, I think maybe just Talk's presence. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Chief, right? I mean, it's just like you can't not have respect for this guy. I understand how he's played the game and his attitude towards it. So maybe just that, not just that alone, but he comes in and he demands respect, a certain standard of play, maybe a little harder than Bruce, there it is, and just a different attitude. I don't know. Accountability. Yeah, exactly. Right. Yeah, just he's old school. He hard-nosed guy, obviously one of the best to play. And
is there a difference between a John Tortorella who never played at the NHL level, but demands accountability, and a Rick Tocchet or others who did?
I don't think so. I think it's all about how you go about it. Because look, John Cooper's done a pretty good job down in Tampa there, right? I mean, probably one of the longest coaches standing on a team, and he never played. And I think it's always about how you deal with your players. If you're a good communicator and the guys respect you, the message is received. But I mean, you could play 2,000 games in the NHL, and if you're an ass, I mean, it doesn't matter how many games you played and how much flexing you're doing. It's not going to land. I
don't know if you guys saw this. I would expect you saw this last year, and maybe you too, Riley. John Cooper, after Tampa Bay lost, was on TNT on the show, between period shows, with Tkachuk. And they interviewed him after some of his games as Florida moved to the final. Tkachuk never wanted to say a word to Cooper, being the arch rival. Did you see that at all, Anthony, that dynamic?
I did not see that.
Oh, it's funny. He'd ask him a question, we're like, yeah, no. Hockey, those rivalries. I mean, other sports, you kind of break it down sometimes. Seems like hockey, that may not happen, Riley.
Yeah.
Rivalries are real, right?
They are real, yeah. I mean, you develop I want to say hatred, but yeah, I mean, almost that. You know, it's like you know what you're going up against, and you learn to dislike a lot of players, and you know.
The day that the little kid in me died was the day I saw Ron Hextall and Chris Chelios talking up in the press box at Joe Louis. I was like, oh,
right, yeah.
You're supposed to hate each other.
Right, yeah, exactly.
Yep. Honor among thieves, right?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Well, guys, I've really enjoyed this. Had a hell of a time. So glad you were able to come out, Anthony and Riley. Obviously, love having you here. We'll be at Drexel Hill next week with another concoction.
Great, right around the corner from me.
Right around, it is literally right around the corner from your house, right?
Completely, yeah. It's around the corner.
We won't have Riley Cote. I'm not sure if we'll have Riley Cote next week, but thanks for being here, Riley. Really appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Love having you here. And Anthony, thank you so much.
Anytime, Paul.
All right, Brianna O'Neill has produced this fine program. Stephen Lawler back at the station. Did a great job spinning the knobs, turning the dials. Make sure you listen to his Slobber Knocker podcast. Riley's got the Nasty Knuckles. Anthony has the Snow the Goalie. We got podcasts, we got radio all over the place. This has been On the Ice, presented by Independence Blue Cross. We'll be back next week as the Flyers continue their playoff run. For now, I'm Paul Jolovitz for Brianne and Anthony and Riley saying good night and go Flyers!
Independence Blue Cross. Tonight's show is an exclusive presentation of 1490 WBCB and heard around the world at WBCB1490.com.